They're specific Greek words for declaring what are sometimes translated the mighty deeds of God, and these occur only twice in the New Testament. There are many other words translated as the mighty deeds of God also, but these are unique. The first one is when Mary is describing becoming the mother of Jesus and how that affects her. This incredibly powerful spiritual transformation of her life and her role. And the second and only other time is here in Acts. This occurs after Jesus' life, death, resurrection, and ascension. His earthly ministry is over. And it occurs before, in the next chapter, when Peter declares that Jesus is the Messiah. So we have this little window of time, this one experience that is after Jesus and before the theology of the church. I maintain this is the grounding, the foundation of spiritual and religious life. And the declaration is this, that spiritual reality can be experienced, named, and known, and thus creating meaning in life by all people, in all places, in all societies, with all sorts of languages and understandings, which may or may not be Christian and may or may not be even theological. And that this action of spiritual energy and awareness arises and is always arising within this unified reality of the universe Christians call God. It is feeding, it is nurturing the spirit that dwells within us. As Rachel noted, the raw experience of God, the awareness, and you see me going like this because otherwise I do choke up, the power of the Spirit is hard to handle. It's more than we, in our routine ways, can control or discipline. Sometimes it is an experience of nature, such as I described. As often it is an experience between people or a sense of self. I, for once, when I was about 25, realized I am a human being. Not just my parents' child, not just my high school class member, not just my college student life. I am a human being in creation. And I typed up a little wallet-sized card declaring this and certifying myself a human being and put it in my wallet and carried it around with me. And that is a spiritual thing to do. When we experience this kind of holiness, this sacred life power, if you will, it is sometimes experienced as beautiful. As often, and I maintain more often, we experience it as terrifying and fearful because we cannot grasp it and know it wholly. It includes, among other things, other dimensions of reality that our brains simply do not have. And so when we are sharing this, which is critical to building and maintaining and recreating religious community, we must speak only for ourselves. We must say, I have had this experience, or for me, it feels like this. And we must not pass judgment on others' experiences, which we are sometimes, in some traditions, trained to do. When we formulate and pass judgments on others' fundamental experiences of life, the presence of God, the Spirit moving, the personhood of Jesus, when we pass judgments on these people, we create feelings of fear and guilt, not only in them, but in ourselves for what we've done. And it is then that faith, which I call the coherent, trustable experience and naming of this treasured sense of reality, the most valued, nurturing, healing aspect of being a human being. When we pass judgments on others, it is lost to them and it is lost to us. That's why in the gospel it says, when you forgive sins, they are forgiven. And the horrible warning is, when you don't forgive sins, they are retained. Part 3. These experiences are recorded in the Bible, Hebrew and Christian scriptures. We have them in our society and our religious life together. And there is no control. There is no authorization big enough or strong enough to grasp this and control it or limit it. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus speaks of every sin is forgivable and is forgiven by God immediately. But the sin against the Holy Spirit cannot be forgiven. I believe that the sin against the Holy Spirit, the only unforgivable sin, is the denial of such spiritual life in other peoples, other faiths, other traditions. For we are not only insulting and denying those people, we are insulting and denying the Spirit of God. We do this between religions, and particularly among Christian faiths, and within faith traditions in our Western, that's our version of civilization, particularly within Christianity. This is almost unique among other faith traditions, particularly the Eastern ones. And so we see their world as a hodgepodge of religions. They see it as a coherent unity of many aspects of religion. We pass our judgment, we lose out. But this happens also between religious language and scientific language. It happens between faith language and human services secular language. And so many people in human services don't come to church. I'm not saying all, but many don't because they feel the language somehow compromises their ability to be open to people in human services. I want you to know I'm involved in a project I call Rosetta Reality Project. It is a listing in parallel columns of the fundamental words of moral and ethical and spiritual experiences and religious beliefs, and interfaith, multi-language, multi-faith matching. And it will include the secular language in English and the scientific language in English. The brief example is a Christian theologian named Paul Tillich said, God is actually our ultimate concern. Guess what? People in human services know that everybody must get in touch with and name and shape our lives by our ultimate concern. And scientists, some very hesitantly dragging their feet and screaming, are saying there is an ultimate reality. And when we are not concerned about it, we're in deep trouble, which is what's going on now. There's just one example. So how do we move forward in this? We must share and talk about it, and part 4 says we must move beyond our fears. I have had fears and angers in my life and in my body for over 60 years that I've recently addressed. I know they're there. I know they're real. I know what they've done to me. To share these fears or any similar fears that have this ultimate concern or spiritual reality about them, we must have safe, assured, and trustful ways and means to do this. We must agree to do this, that we will not judge each other, we will not break down other people's faiths, and we will not sacrifice ours in our judgments of them. This puts the welcoming and affirming project or stance front and center. Because when we refuse to welcome and we refuse to affirm other people's experiences, if I may use a strong word, we damn ourselves and our life together. We must be able to name our fears, our beauty, and our experience of awe, and declare the spiritual reality. And so I've made up this little set of catchphrases. When we experience the ultimate concern and the unity of God, we feel love. That's what we call love. When we see this unity, such as looking at a forest or the skies, stars in the skies, we call that glory of God. And when we grasp this oneness in our mind, we know it as oneness or unity. And so the words are dare to care and share, dare to compare these rare experiences we often have no words for, and then forgive everyone. Forgive and live in peace.